honestly, it's time for the rest of the county to step up.
There is no reason that we should have to subject ourselves to the same issues the cities are facing because of their inability or frankly negligence to handle the issue themselves.
Hey guys, check this out.
What is it?
Is someone in?
Afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Knut Laymen. I'm a deputy with Thurston County Sheriff's Office, and I'm also the president of the Deputy Sheriff's Association. Commissioners, this position of the Deputy Sheriff's Association that we cannot support your plan for implementation of the homeless plan for the Carpenter Martin Way location. Deputies understand that the board may be in a complex position as the county in which these cities reside to try and manage this issue. I understand that some federal, state, and local grants have been received and personally suspect that they may only come to the county level, which you then have to distribute to the cities or other organizations. However, nowhere does it say the county has to absorb the issue these cities are facing. And providing some monetary support and leaning on contacts and relationships to assist these cities may be welcomed. There is no reason that we should have to subject ourselves to the same issues the cities are facing because of their inability or frankly negligence to handle the issue themselves. The City of Olympia has been notorious in their mismanagement of this issue, which is clearly evident by a walk through downtown or around Capitol Lake, driving down Wheeler or the adjacent section of Interstate 5 northbound, or the exit and off ramps of Interstate 5 and Pacific. The city has handicapped their police department and have absolutely refused to enforce their own municipal codes and RCWs about transient camps, and specifically the Ensign Road issue that's at discussion now. The association absolutely supports our fire department, medic, and beloved staff at St. Peter's. The individuals that have chosen to live on Ensign Road do so without regard to anyone else but themselves. The fact that they are aware that they are effectively blocking a main thoroughfare to a hospital, and refuse to leave the area voluntarily speaks volumes of their true intentions. Commissioner Minster said in a meeting last week that we owe it to our constituents to provide expedient access to medical facilities and to reduce response time to providing them care. I think everybody would agree with that. Why doesn't the City Council of Olympia? They have had the last 2 years almost to resolve this issue and have sat on their hands. They mismanaged this issue immensely, and now we're supposed to take their word for it that they will enforce the parking issue once everyone leaves. We agree that they need to remove the vehicles on Ensign. However, as our commissioners, why are you willing to sacrifice county resources for an issue that doesn't directly involve us county citizens? The City of Olympia is pushing their mismanaged and self-created problem onto citizens and constituents of Thurston County that you commissioners represent. The people who voted for you to lead this county, who are going to be the ones who directly feel this. The businesses who depend on your policies and leadership to be successful, and frankly, as us county employees who depend on them to pay our salaries outside of property taxes and sales tax depend on them. They trusted that Thurston County was a safe and reputable place to establish their business and residences. Moving these vehicles and their owners to this location will greatly impact the services deputies can provide to our true citizens and businesses. We are already the lowest staffed sheriff office in the state, the capital county of Washington State, and we are the lowest. Quite frankly, commissioners, you should be embarrassed by that. There is no denying that our workload and fire and / medical personnel workload of Lacey Fire Department will be impacted by this location, thus prolonging and lengthening our response times to other issues that we need to take care of. From February 1 of 2020 to this morning, November 2nd, 2021, there have been 1,274 calls from medical and law enforcement service for locations between the 3200 block of Ensign Road and the 3526 block of Ensign Road, not including the medical and retirement homes in this area. These are strictly calls that required some kind of a response from OPD or OLEFD and used up resources. I know you have said that there will only be roughly 13 to 18 vehicles brought into the site. However, we all know that the homeless population acts as more of a collectivist society rather than individualistic. They are congregate and lean on one another for support, whether that be for the true basics of life and necessities or possible illegal property crimes and narcotic activity. Managing the site according to our own local ordinance rules has been diminished due to your hip pocket firing of adjusting this county's own ordinances to fit your agenda to look good to city governments who have no say in your ability to be voted back into office at the end of your terms. And when that camp reaches its maximum amount of beneficiaries, who's to say that the remaining vehicles of the roughly 50 that are currently housed on Ensign Road won't end up parked along both sides of Carpenter Road Northeast? This road is not a well-developed road in this area. It's a nightmare already to provide a priority response to this area due to its skinny lanes of travel and small and unimproved dirt shoulders that don't even allow for commuting vehicles to yield the right-of-way properly to emergency vehicles. Now you want to congest that area with more increased foot traffic, vehicle traffic, and recreational camping. There's a large amount of commercial vehicle traffic that drives through this route as well for miles sand and gravel. This is a choke point and a true thoroughfare for people to get from Lacey into Hawks Prairie and other unincorporated areas of the county without going onto the freeway, Marvin Road, or Slater-Kinney. Further north of the site, there's a Washington State Farm Bureau in the 900 block of Carpenter Road Northeast. That is a sizable parking lot and a widened shoulder on the southbound lane. I can guarantee, based on my own experience of being a law enforcement officer in this county for the past 6 years and firsthand seeing the impacts of homelessness encampments develop, you will have vehicles parked along the street in a jurisdiction that we as TCSO cannot enforce due to jurisdictional lines. You are now increasing the workload of the City of Lacey police officers and possibly frustrating staff of another business. I have several more pages to read through, but obviously I'm going to respect the timeline that's set forth by the commissioners. But I'll close out with this and I'll submit it to the so-called hearing that we're going to have on the 4th. Commissioner Minster said this morning is not a new site and has already been vetted, but wasn't moved forward with because of finances in the past and didn't appear to be a good use of county taxpayer dollars. But now, because we have increased revenue from property tax, sales tax, and a gigantic growth in the general fund from various sources, all of a sudden, when a loud enough roar from our major regional hospital is finally being heard in lieu of possible litigation, it's now become a good use of county tax dollars to use this site. That's confusing and misleading. We and I appreciate, I'm gonna read this and then I'll be done. We and I appreciate Commissioner Edwards' stance on this, and at times his comments can be harsh when sharing his opinions. However, I don't think he's wrong in the content. And it's very frustrating to watch your meetings, and with the technology we have been forced to use to watch these meetings due to the pandemic, it's been interesting because you can really see people's facial reactions on Zoom. And when things are said, it's really frustrating to watch Commissioner Minster roll his eyes at the words that this gentleman is saying, because at the end of the day, this gentleman is using his words to voice the concerns of citizens in this county that don't have the ability to be here. And when you have one commissioner completely disrespecting another without him even realizing it, is uncalled for. In closing, the Deputy Sheriff Association does not support this plan, but I can tell you what we will do in response to it. My association will go out and serve the community as we always do.
Sir, I need you to wrap up your comments.
With the utmost professionalism and respect for the laws of our state and the people of our community, whether they are transients or not. It's what this office does, has done, and will always do. Regardless of the lack of support for this department that we've seen from county leadership in the past, we continue to rise above our circumstances and provide near perfect service that calls for our help or response, even when we are the lowest staff sheriff's office in the state, the lowest paid in our comparables to sheriff's office that we compare ourselves to. We still find a way to make this county an attractive, safe, and equitable place to raise a family or run a business. And we will always find a way to do so because being a true public servant is what is ingrained in our employees and the driving force behind why we come to work every day. In turn, you can expect a deputy in my association to hold everyone accountable within the spirit and letter of the law in regards to this action and be impartial in their decision-making surrounding the mismanagement of Olympia's lack of response that has now fallen in our laps. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm calling from beautiful downtown Des Moines, Washington. So thank you, County Commissioners and fellow citizens who are all tackling a very tough topic. My name is Anna Schlecht. I'm an Olympia resident, and I live 4 doors away from 4th Avenue's business district, and I am not isolated from homelessness. I'm also a senior citizen that often walks with a cane. I think the demographics sometimes can be helpful. I am not an elected official, and I am glad to pay taxes to support the least among us. Our taxes pay for senior services, something near and dear to my heart, social services, youth organizations, and homeless services. I have personal reasons and professional reasons why this is really important to me. Homelessness is definitely very hard, and I learned this very early. I had a homeless uncle who served in Korea. He served his country, and his family was not able to understand what he needed, and his country failed him. We didn't understand PTSD back in those days, and he was homeless most of his life. I learned a lot about how homeless is hard during my 38-year career with the City of Olympia. And during the entire time I was at the city, Olympia shouldered the full burden of homelessness for the entire county. That means 99% of the homeless shelters, 100% of the food, and currently 100% of all of what we're now calling homeless camps. During that time, I want to point out that I also worked on every single homeless census since 2006, and I coordinated about 8 of them. And I did a lot of deep dives, and I know a fair amount about who is homeless and why they're homeless in our local region. Yes, some folks do come from out of town and out of state. That is a fact. But the vast majority are local folks. They are Olympia residents. They're also Lacey residents, Tumwater residents, Bucota residents, Yelm residents. They are our fellow citizens, and a lot of them are struggling with any number of issues, poverty, rent increases, mental health. There are many reasons that people become homeless. I was very discouraged to hear people talk about this over and over being an Olympia problem. And I'm here to tell the sheriff's deputy that I hope that they can do an in-service very soon so they can educate themselves and understand more about homelessness. To hear some folks talk, I have to tell you, it's not like a homeless bomb dropped in the middle of Olympia and let people out, and it's only Olympia's problem. It's only Olympia that has stepped up to provide services and resources, and now, honestly, it's time for the rest of the county to step up. Homeless folks are here. They are your former students, if you were a teacher, your former neighbors, people you worked with. One of the people that I've seen in downtown Olympia was a contractor that I paid quite a bit of money to reside part of my house. And I don't know what his tumble from security involves, but he's on the streets of Olympia now. These are our neighbors. These are the people that we know. And it's time for the entire county to step up, as the county commission is asking folks to do, and do the fair share, take on shelter camps and RV parking. I want to close and say that as a lifelong public servant, I have been honored to serve the taxpayer. And I urge other public servants who have been speaking here today to step up to the plate. You have to take what public service throws at you. And right now, many of our citizens are homeless. Please learn more about what homelessness is and try to lose some of the stereotypes. I lied. One more last thing I want to say. In my 38 years at the City of Olympia, I sat through many public hearings, and I heard people say very similar things against public transit, bus stops, against low-income housing, against anything that served people who they decided was not like them. Well, my uncle sure looked sharp and clean and handsome in his Korean Navy uniform. He was just like us until he wasn't, and we failed him. I hope that we can all step up and serve our homeless neighbors. Let's find new ways. If you feel critical of what Olympia has done so far, help create the kind of managed homeless situations that will, meet the standards of what we want. Lacey can create the kind of homeless encampments that they believe are appropriate. Tumwater can, and honestly, Tenino, Bucota, and Yelm can also step up with rules, with enforcement, but it takes a county to respond to the kinds of social service problems that we have that have caused homelessness. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Anyone that watches my videos is, by definition, a good person.